I've been going downhill gradually for some years. And there was no landmark in this deterioration except maybe the time I discovered I could no longer walk in the wind without assistance. When I would go to once-a-year conferences, Illinois Political Science Association in November and Missouri Valley History Conference in Omaha in March, the faces of my colleagues were shocked, and they gave shocked comments so I could measure how much I'd lost. But I was not terribly aware of any sharp process. I was diagnosed initially by my regular doctor. And those of you on meds know that every so often you got to go in to make sure they're not killing you with poison. And so I went in last August, and my regular doctor looked at me and he said, "You have something neurological. Get thee to a neurologist." So I did. Went to see a very nice young neurologist named Amir Khan. And Dr. Khan scheduled me for a series of tests that took 2 weeks. 2 months. And in the course of this 2-month period, I learned how lucky I was. I don't have a brain aneurysm. I don't have a brain tumor. That's what killed my father. I don't have ALS. I don't have MS. I don't have muscular dystrophy. What I have is Parkinson's. Well, now, when I told the St. John sisters that I had something neurological, they asked, "What does this mean?" And actually, her sister Kelsey was somewhat more profane. And so I laid it out to them that, hey, I've got Parkinson's. It's not that bad. And so I hate to be the optimist this evening, but it's not that bad. When I tell others that I have Parkinson's, and in the last 10 days or so, Mary Mitchell, Betty's daughter, and the operator of the Rockford Art Museum, they always say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But I tell them, it could be worse. The story of Parkinson's and me is largely a story of other people reacting to me having Parkinson's. The first day I got this, which is a godsend, Marjorie had me prepped to be independent and self-sufficient and dumped me off at school. And a young man came running up to open doors for me. She yelled at the poor young boy, saying, "Don't do that, he needs to do things on his own." Yeah. Memorably, we were going into our IHOP at the end of our street, and some young men came out all in thug life attire with gang tats on, and they were very solicitous of me, and they helped me in. Alyssa St. John's boyfriend, her fiance now, scored major points helping me up a staircase and down a staircase at Lindley's wedding reception so we could do the grandfather-granddaughter dance. So that's been the story of Parkinson's and me. Other people, strangers often, help me without my asking. Now this disease doesn't hurt. That's a big thing. I don't like that. But it does affect my mobility. And that's a pain. Now that ECC is so big, I need to get rolled in a wheelchair from point A to point B if it's more than outside of my building for a meeting. And my chauffeur for the last year was Lauren Geiser Quinones, our student worker in liberal arts. But when Lauren had to go to Northern to take courses for her degree in kinesiology, it's hard to know how to phrase this, the guys in my office stepped up. Ray and Jeff stepped up. And that was an instance of the spirit being willing, but the skill set being very weak. We ran into tables, we ran into chairs, we ran into desks, we ran into door jams, we ran into doors. But at least they tried. I told Dave Finney that we really ought to have yakety sax from Benny Hill as sort of the soundtrack for this thing. Above all, Parkinson's is something of a gift. I mean, it sounds odd, but it's something of a gift. It tells me that I have a soft deadline. It's not saying, okay, 6 months and you're out. But it's saying, you ought to start winding stuff up. You ought to start writing those reports you've been saying you're going to write for the last 25 years. You ought to start finishing off your research. I'm trying to avoid being Kathleen Kenyon. For those of you who don't know, she's the lady who dug up Jericho and spent the last 30 years of her life not writing that up. I'd be satisfied with being a guy named Claude Previte-Orton, whose last corrected revisions on the shorter Cambridge medieval history was found on the nightstand next to his deathbed. So Parkinson's has been an annoyance for me. It's been a challenge for Marjorie. I used to say Marjorie didn't sign up for this, but since we renewed our vows in February, and Zena included in sickness and in health, and reiterated again, those of you who were there remember how she spoke, I think she signed up for the duration. Parkinson's is a gift, a gentle reminder that it's time to stop dilly-dallying around and getting things done. So, I hate, as I said, to be an optimist, but this could be much, much worse. And I'm thankful that it's not.